You're a millionaire. The account confirmed it at 3:11 on a Tuesday afternoon. Nothing else did. The bedroom looks the same. The coffee in the mug is still warm. You refresh the app. The 7 is still there. The comma is still there. You count the digits twice. You're 41. You're the first one in 3 generations. Your grandfather was a tile layer who died at 62 with a paid-off house and a savings account that never touched 4 figures. Your dad ran a small repair shop for 31 years and walked out at 65 with a pension and a mortgage. You're 41, and you just became something nobody in your family tree has been. And nothing tells you. By the end of these 90 days, you'll understand why the account moved before you did, and the 5 mistakes that take roughly 8 out of 10 first-generation millionaires back below the line within 2 years. Day 1 through day 7. The first week. Nothing tells you. You wake up Wednesday, and the kitchen is the same kitchen. The coffee maker rattles on its 3rd cycle. Your wife asks if you remembered the dentist appointment for the kid on Friday. You did. You drive to work. You take the same exit. You park in the same spot. The badge swipes. The elevator goes up. At 10:47, you open the app again. This is the 3rd time today. And the number is still there. 998,000 and change yesterday. 1,200,000 and something today. A market tick. A bonus posting. An inheritance clearing. A vesting cliff. It doesn't matter what crossed it. The line is crossed. You wait for something. Watch how this works. You're waiting for the feeling. The feeling doesn't come. Why does the number not feel like anything? This isn't theory. It's arithmetic. The balance moved on Tuesday. Your identity is still scheduled for some time later, and nobody tells you when that arrives. Some people wait 3 years. Some people wait forever. The gap between those two is where most of the damage happens. Federal Reserve household survey data places about 10 to 11% of U.S. households at a net worth above $1 million in any given year. Roughly 2/3 of those households are first generation, meaning the person reading their statement at 3:11 on a Tuesday is reading it the way nobody in their family ever read one. There is no script. The parents do not have advice for this number because they never sat with this number. The friends mostly do not have advice either because the friends who do already crossed the line themselves and decided, for their own reasons, not to mention it. What does the first week sound like if you listen carefully? It sounds exactly like the week before. The coffee maker, the kid's dentist, the badge, the elevator. The bank knew at 3:11 on Tuesday. You will not catch up to the bank for a while. From what I have seen, watching people I knew before and after the threshold, the first week is also when the quiet decision gets made. They decide, without knowing they decided, whether to treat the threshold as an event or as a non-event. The ones who treat it as a non-event, boring Wednesday with the same dentist appointment on Friday, usually keep the money. The ones who treat it as an event have already started the countdown to the first mistake. Day 8 through day 30, the first mistake. This is where most people tell someone, not their spouse. Usually the spouse already knew the math. They tell the wrong second person, a brother, a best friend from college, a cousin at a wedding 3 weeks after the threshold. They don't say the number out loud. They say enough. Things are going well. We're in a different spot than we were 5 years ago. The other person knows what was just said. Who is the second person you would tell if you were honest about it? Picture them. Now do not tell them. What I have watched happen 4 times in the last decade among people I knew on both sides of the line is that the friendship continues, but the temperature of it shifts by exactly 1 degree. The next time you grab beers, your friend orders the cheaper draft and waits to see what you order. You order the same draft you always ordered because you actually do still like that draft. And the friend reads that as performance. The first mistake is telling. The second is the announcement purchase. The watch, the car, the kitchen remodel timed weirdly close to the threshold. Roughly 8 out of 10 first-generation millionaires buy something within the first 60 days that announces the threshold to people they wouldn't have told otherwise. Tom Stanley's work, the long Millionaire Next Door research he ran across 3 decades, surveys of around 11,000 affluent households over time, found that the millionaires who keep the money are the ones who looked indistinguishable from their pre-threshold selves 6 months later. Same car, same Wednesday office. At most, a slightly newer pair of shoes nobody noticed. The ones who lose it back below the line are the ones whose visible life updated faster than their account did. The visible update is the leak. Put a calculator next to you. The watch is $6,000. The watch is also the equivalent of roughly $43,000 in 30 years at a 7% compound before tax. You didn't buy a watch. You bought a $43,000 message to people who didn't ask for one. If this is your first time on the channel, one thing to know up front. This channel doesn't run motivation. This channel shows the math and the scenes. If that tone reads, subscribing here just means keep showing it like that. We are a third of the way through the 90 days, and the next 60 are where the actual mechanism lives. Day 31 through 60, the middle. This is where the third and fourth mistakes happen, and where the people who keep the money do something specific that the ones who lose it don't. Mistake 3 is velocity. You quit the job, you change the business, you move cities. The account confirms something, and you read that confirmation as permission to make a large, unrelated change inside 90 days. The math says the change probably won't kill you. Whether the change is wise is a separate question entirely, and the 90-day window is the worst possible time to ask it. The threshold state and the wisdom state are not the same state. There is a reason the people who hold generational wealth, and Stanley's data shows this consistently, average 20-plus years at the same job or in the same business before any net worth threshold gets crossed. The threshold is the result of the velocity. It is not the start of a new velocity. That distinction is most of the game. And it is the distinction that the 72 hours after the threshold are designed by your own neurochemistry to make you forget. I will tell you what I watched in 2021. A guy I had known for 8 years, engineer, modest, married, 2 kids, lived in the same 2-bedroom in the same suburb for a decade, sold a piece of early-stage equity that crossed him into 7 figures on a Thursday. By the following Monday, he had given his notice at his real job. By the end of that quarter, he had put $240,000 into a restaurant concept his cousin pitched him at a barbecue. The restaurant closed in 14 months. The cousin is still a cousin. The $240,000 is gone. The job is gone. The marriage is fine. The kids are fine. But the 7 figures sits at around $380,000 now. The mistake was not the restaurant. The mistake was the 72-hour decision window after the threshold. What would you have done in that same 72 hours with the same Thursday call, the same cousin, the same hot brain? Most of us would have signed. That is the point. Mistake 4 is the money panic. People hit $1 million and immediately start moving it. Out of the savings account, into a brokerage, out of one fund into another. They pay $600 in short-term capital gains they did not need to pay. They miss a dividend reinvestment date by 2 days. They sell one position at a loss to buy a similar position 3 days later, which the IRS calls a wash sale and disallows the loss entirely under Section 1091. None of these mistakes is large on its own, but they accumulate during a 90-day window where the person is moving money out of feeling, not out of plan. Open your account right now. Look at the last 3 trades you made. Did you make them because they were on the calendar or because the threshold was? I would argue, honestly answered, the response to that question predicts roughly half of what happens to a first-generation 7-figure account over the next 36 months. The other half is the velocity mistake. Day 61 through 90, the last 30 days. The 5th mistake. This is the one that is hardest to see in yourself. The 5th mistake is chasing the confirmation feeling. You crossed the line and the feeling didn't arrive, so you assume the line was wrong. Maybe $1 million is not really the marker. Maybe $2 million is. Maybe 5. You set a new target inside the first 90 days because the old target failed to produce what every movie, every magazine, and every uncle who said, "When I get to that number, then," had promised it would. Here is what the research keeps showing. The Millionaire Next Door data and the updates from Spectrum Group's annual affluent investor surveys of roughly 13 million U.S. millionaire households find that the median first-generation millionaire reports approximately the same level of day-to-day satisfaction at 1 million, 2 million, and 5 million. The variable that changes the satisfaction curve is not the next million. It is whether the holders spent the first 2 years after crossing learning to leave the account alone, or spent them moving it around in the hope that motion would feel like progress. Why does the next million not deliver what the first one was supposed to? The honest answer is that you are not chasing money at that point. You are chasing the feeling the money was supposed to produce. The feeling does not live in the next million. The feeling lives mostly in roughly the 2nd or 3rd year of holding the threshold without breaking it. By then, the brain has done a slow re-baseline, and the number on the app feels less like a fluke and more like the floor. That floor is the actual reward, and the only way to get to it is to hold position for a couple of unspectacular years. From what I have watched over a decade of knowing people on both sides of the line, the ones who land softly do something very specific between day 60 and day 90. They don't make a plan. They make a non-plan. They write down on a single piece of paper the 5 things they are not going to do for the next 12 months. Not quit the job, not move the house, not buy the car, not start the side business, not tell the second person. The non-plan beats the plan because the plan is what creates the panic. Write down the date. We will come back to it. The value of writing the non-plan today, before the line gets crossed, is that it forces you to confront how few of those decisions actually need to be made in the first quarter after the threshold. Probably 0. Probably the answer for the first year is nothing changes. And that is the point. What I have come to read as the actual skill of the first 90 days is the skill of not acting. Most people do not have it. The ones who do, and you can see this in account histories at the 7-figure level, have years of no action stamped across their statements. Same fund, year over year, same allocation, with no panicked rebalance call placed on the Wednesday after the threshold. That is the signature. Day 91, Tuesday afternoon, 3:11. The number on the screen is the same. The bedroom hasn't changed. The coffee mug, the desk lamp, the dog on the floor. None of them noticed. What is different is you have spent 90 days learning that the threshold is not an event. It is a line you stepped over while waiting for an event that does not arrive. The bank knew on day 1. You learn it sometime around day 90, sometimes day 300, sometimes never. The 8 in 10 who lose it back below the line are the ones who spent the 90 days trying to manufacture the event the bank already had. So, here is the question. Whatever your line is, not the millionaire line for everyone, but the line that is 2 account refreshes ahead of where you sit today, what are the 5 things you won't do in the 12 months after you cross it? Write them down this Sunday. Not next week, not after the holiday, this Sunday. 5 items, a sheet of paper, not the Notes app. You will not need them in the moment. You will need them at 3:11 on a Tuesday afternoon when the account confirms something and the rest of you does not.